when you become successful 3, 4, 5 years from now, was it drugs? Was it this? Was it that? Maybe it was crypto. They don't want to believe that within the natural confines of economics, you could get rich, which they will think overnight. It's not overnight. 3 years to you is eternity. I understand that, but relatively speaking, it's overnight. My dad and I, when he came here, we stood under this chandelier. We walked through that door. I had my arm around him. I couldn't realize how much he shrunk. And he says, he looked up at the chandelier and says, "Just tell me it's not drugs, son." That's the only thing he said. Just tell me. In other words, you didn't make this from drugs. Because the only thing he could relate to is you can make this much money this quick was drugs. And I said, "It's kind of like drugs, Dad. It's oil and gas." And he didn't really understand that, but that pacified him. And so we went into the library, had probably more to drink than we should have. And he left 2 days later because they made him uncomfortable being here. Made him uncomfortable. My mother never lived in the castle. She lived in one of the cottages. She didn't want, when she lived here, the last months of her life, she didn't want to live here. She didn't feel comfortable. She was proud of me, but she didn't feel comfortable being in here. And this is slightly a stretch. Most of your family would be more comfortable being servants here. So, where does that leave you? Yes, sir. The reverse bicycle is absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And when Thomas read faith from whatever the part of the Bible he wrote, but that's exactly what it is. Some of you believe in higher power, never seen him, her, it, right? Why do you believe? Conditioning, whatever. When you transfer that belief system to the QLA model, I mean, you will rip through fucking goals, affirmations, like shit through a goose. Like shit through a goose. Why do I still say my prayers and affirmations 50 plus years later? I haven't had to work in 37 years. I haven't had to fucking work. Maybe because I believe in the system. One, I know it works. There's no question about it. Now, whether you believe it works after the experience here, you know, I hope you do, but I know some of you still don't believe it. And your belief system will reach that gap, that quantum leap, or whatever you want to call it, when you do a deal. Really, it'll be when you recruit your chairman. Why would a guy with this experience talk to you? There's no reason. You're right. You're a dipshit scumbag. And then when he does or she does, maybe there's some promise in this fucking thing. And then when you get the next person and the next person and the next person, and then you get the accountants and the lawyers, you know, it's like dominoes hitting each other. Fuck. And then you talk to the banks, and you know, they're in the lending mode, 3 to 5, blah, blah, blah. And then you talk to the first meathead motivated seller. It's like magic. You know. And then you start to believe, well, maybe this shit can work for me. I already know I can tell you it works for you, but until these things happen, you know, it's and it's all a building block process. And by the time you close your first deal, seller finance, you've done 30, 40, 50, 60 presentations. And you're not smooth, but you're a hell of a lot smoother than you were when you started. No, I recommend you get a chairman first. Most of you in this room can't be CEO. No, well, I mean, you can always get a CEO. But I mean, Andreas is a rare exception. He started as CEO with the idea we were going to find a CEO. Now, 20 deals later, we haven't found anybody. And he's matured as a man. He's matured as a corporate executive. And I mean, now we're starting to look for elephants. We're in the second phase, so if you will. And whether we find anybody or not, if we don't, I mean, he's CEO. And we haven't hesitated because we're going to give this asshole 5, 6, 7%. We haven't found anybody. We haven't found it. Thomas is still co-CEO. He found that he was good at the raising money, finding acquisitions, but he was not good at the administration. So we brought in a gal. She's co-CEO with him. But that, you don't, just because you start a position doesn't mean you have to stay at that position. The real thing is, are you good at it? Some of you will be, most of you won't. As Peter said, he's not good at administrating. He's not, well, I could have told him that 5 years ago. He's not good at administrating, but more important, he's not good at managing people. Because down deep inside, he still wants to be liked. He was good at the strategic 50, 60,000 foot decisions based on, with my help. But he doesn't want to talk to 200 doctors a week. And now he's got fucking 400 doctors. That's a pain in the ass. 400 doctors will have 900 opinions. And he's found his niche, so to speak, as being the face of the organization. And it's easy to see that, he said it in a different way. He likes to be the important head. And in the beginning, believe me, he was the Forrest Gump. It takes a lot of balls to say that about yourself. Most of you in this room aren't even Forrest Gump. You're not even a reasonable facsimile. You were Forrest Gump when he had the braces on his legs. And then he had a breakthrough. He's running down, that girl saying, "Run, Forrest, run." That's you before the braces come off. Your braces on your legs haven't come off yet. And it's disingenuous for me to say that it's going to happen for all of you sooner than later. But if you keep at it and you never give up, eventually those braces fall off. But you got to keep punching. It transcends not giving up. I mean, you got to keep swinging at the plate. And for those of you that have had a little bit of success, don't let that allow you to lapse into your default. Because default's a bitch. Everybody you've talked to, or not talked to, listened to, and a few you've talked to because they were two-way Zoom calls, have said the same fucking thing. And, again, I could have had 1,000 people up here. I tried. I think I was effective at picking the right people. Because if we brought everybody like the Goomba Brothers, Tony being an alpha male, he's a hammer. So we mixed it up with some weaker, not weak. None of the guys you listen to or talk to are weak. But we mixed it up with weaker from the alpha males down. Marcus, and these guys have been tremendously successful. On any benchmark, no matter how you measure, not counting QLA, these all guys are rich. And they made it in 2 or 3 years. Which is fucking remarkable. They could have made more money because, they could have, and they all know it. And thankfully, they want to help me. And I want to help you. But like Tony said, I'm not here for you dipshits. I'm here to help Dad. Someday you're going to have mentees like that. Hopefully sooner than later before I'm dead. But it's a great feeling.
Today?
No, I don't need that shit. See, all I need is me. Unlike you. You need something else. But guys, leaving here, if you need motivation after here, I'm not saying metaphorically speaking, you got to kill yourselves. You're not going to get any better knowledge than here. And you've seen me in person And I'm significantly better in person than on YouTube. You can attest to that now. But guys, I mean, I want you to go out there and pull the fucking trigger. I mean, I will feel let down unless you pull the trigger. More importantly, you should feel let down if you don't pull the trigger. And but you can do it. It depends on whether you have the will to do it. And you've got to go back and take care of business. And you've got to explain to your family, your wife, whoever, this is the way it was and this is the way it is now. If you don't have that talk, not a text, not a bullshit, but a talk face to face. And you heard Nellie say it was tough. I had to sit down with my wife. You know, it was tougher than walking away from his multi-million-dollar business. To sit down with his wife and say it's not going to be business as usual. And most of your significant others didn't sign up for this shit. So don't hate them or blame them when they leave. The fact that you changed, they'll say, you changed the goalposts, you changed the rules, and you have. But that's fucking life. Nothing's static in life, and certainly not this. Any other questions before I go to bed? What? Yep. No, Chainsaw Al was, I think, in Georgia, in the South. But, you know, that reminds me, and I already told you, I mean, that hatchet that I got in 1977 and that hammer that I got more recently, I am the real deal, not just because I produce success, but I leave no prisoners. For real. If I was 100, I was born too late. But I mean, I'm the kind of guy, my dad, who, when he taught for the CIA, he taught a class called When to Shoot, which was really a euphemism for when to kill. And you hear in these TV movies and series, it was a clean shoot. Okay. My dad's definition of a clean shoot is there are no witnesses. You killed them all and you're the only one alive. It's the dead people's witness against you. His nickname was Blow 'em Up. He killed everybody. Dogs, goldfish, cats, grandmothers, grandchildren, everybody. It wasn't by accident that they brought him out of retirement to do the Robert Kennedy assassination investigation for the government. That wasn't an accident, okay? People say it was a cover-up. I never heard my dad use those words. But they picked him for a reason. They didn't want a debacle like the JFK assassination. But I run, just like he said, you run towards the gunfire and kill everybody, i.e., I say, of course, now I add metaphorically because of legal shit. But somebody on your board has to be that assassin. Otherwise, whether you're a $100,000 company, $1 million company, or a $1 trillion company, somebody will figure a way to fuck you. It may be your bank, it may be your investment bank, it may be your lawyers. Your Achilles heel, from the time you leave here to the time whenever you exit or die, they'll be looking for it. If you want a friend, get a fucking dog. When you leave here, if you take this seriously, you have no friends. That's it. It's a shitty thing to say, but it's the truth. And I would be leaving you with only part of the information that you should leave here with if I didn't tell you that. And to the best of my knowledge, none of the other guys say that, even though they know it. You know, I'm not selling the hardcore. Some of the people come back to the hardcore, that's fine. But you have the knowledge to become killers financially. There's 50 or 60 financial tools we don't talk about here that are not necessary. The only thing necessary is the motivated seller. And you have to man up, ball up, to be able to say no. No, no. Steve Jobs said it a different way. I said no 1,000 times when I first got started. He meant what I'm talking about. K-N-O-W, knowing when to say no. You're better off saying no to everybody in the beginning. Everybody. Your family, whoever. Because even though you have all this knowledge, it's like the difference between high school football and professional football. You know how to block, move, and tackle, and that kind of shit. But you don't know how to break necks yet. Some of you, laughably to me, think you know how to break necks, but you really don't. 2 or 3 of you have done some deals, more by accident than by design. But that's fine. I would rather you do a deal by accident and have not done any deals. But kids, this is our fucking time. God almighty. The Federal Reserve said that the next 24 to 36 months, they're going to raise interest rates. And the market's already reacting to that. But unless they raise interest 300 basis points, in other words, 3 points, from 5 to 8, it's good for us. But remember, this model worked in the 90s when interest rates were 15, 18, 19%. So the deals had to be 2-3 times better. And that's when we created more billionaires. It should be like shooting fish in a barrel or shooting ducks in a pond in your front yard, Before my wife was just on the corner there giving me she jolted me in my neck and the invisible thing I got around my neck. Anything else before I go to bed?
Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's my pleasure. I want you to go out there and I want you to really kill him. Not metaphorically, a bit, but I say metaphorically for the but I mean it's so fucking easy. It just is. Now, some of the guys that you saw in Gallus are special only because they've done it. They were just regular dipshits like you before they did it. They were just, arguably, Marcus Bauer was a superstar athlete who didn't like to come in second. So that was, he benefited from that. But the rest are just dipshits. They had tried 5, and I'm not saying Graham is a dipshit, but he tried 5 or 6 things before he succeeded. I was his chairman in oil and gas, and we couldn't make it work. Which, to say he was surprised is an understatement. Because a lot of you who've asked me, they think that I'm the trip to heaven. And sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But if you don't work, I'm not the trip to heaven. That's not why I'm not accepting him anymore, because I'm phasing myself out and get ready to fucking shit down the neck of the Prime Minister in England. But you have the capability. You have all that you need to know. Okay, kids. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.